Hi, good morning, Justin. How are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. Happy New Year, 2023.
Wow, 2023, great. Yeah, we just came out of 2022 and looking forward to celebrate. We'll celebrate after a few months, 2023 as well. So
Absolutely. Looking forward to a great year. I know there's a lot of positive momentum, and I think everyone's excited to get it started.
exactly. So many companies are maybe having New Year resolutions, they have been looking where they are and where they should be in next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. So that's where that today's topic is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Just with everything that we have going on within our company, there's a lot to be excited about, and certainly a lot of changes coming as we integrate into the greater Parsons enterprise. And I'm sure there'll be some learning curves, but at the same point, I know from a strategic standpoint, Xator and Parsons have always been pretty closely aligned. So I don't think it's going to be too hard, but we'll either way we'll make it happen.
Yeah, great, good. So today's topic is we're focusing on strategic program management office. In short, we can call SPMO. So strategic program. We heard about PMO, we heard about EPMO, and within PMO we have various different meaning: program management office, project management office, portfolio management office, enterprise project management office, and so different namings are there. Now, these new terms, I think a lot of people are excited about this strategic program management office. What do you understand about from this?
Well, of course, it can mean a few different things. To me, I would say more than anything, and some companies have like a strategy officer or an entire department that is just dedicated to strategy. So for me, I would, not necessarily saying it's the right way, but it's more of a strategic business type department, managed just as similar as others, probably in that overhead type role, but specifically defining goals and objectives set by the enterprise leadership that help kind of the organization as a whole succeed. I guess that would be my official definition. But more specifically, in a practical sense, is just constantly evaluating the vision, making sure that the corporate roadmap, so to speak, is being adhered to, and certainly being aware of, number one, what our competitors are doing, as well as just making sure that our existing work is providing, number one, the benefits that we expected and intended, meeting our customers' objectives, and understanding what possible new markets maybe actually you might actually run into or accidentally get into, based on the current opportunities that your company is working on. So that's my long-winded answer, but I think that's probably what I would define as a strategic PMO.
Yeah. And before we get into strategic PMO, let's talk about strategic planning. What is strategic plan and how to develop? Why organizations should spend time to develop strategic plans?
Yeah, I mean, first, to make sure, as we all know, if you don't have the old adage, if you don't plan, then you plan to fail. And so, whether it be at the project level or at the enterprise level, everything has to be in sync, and everybody needs to be, quote unquote, marching to the same beat. And because if you're not, then you're going to have conflicts. You're going to have stakeholders that, quite frankly, don't even support the efforts that are going on at some of the project or program levels. And so it's going to create a lot of issues, and ultimately, number one, fail probably the company, but also fail the customer, whoever that may be, whether it's internal or external. And so making sure that everything is aligned properly is very important. Otherwise, you're destined to fail. And so it's very important, whether you're project, program, portfolio, PMO, all the way up to the CEO, it's very important in my eyes to always have those stakeholder discussions, talking with amongst each other, understanding, is there a market shift? Do we need to shift with the market? Or constantly, I always, it's always changing. So if you're staying the same, you're probably losing. So in my eyes, that's what's truly important, and why you need to always be aligned from the bottom all the way to the top.
Exactly. So it's very important to keep an eye on what is changing around you as they are changing in the competitors, and basically you want to see what is your vision, organization vision, and how to reach there. That's where the organization and the leaders get together and come up with a strategy. Okay, you know what, in 5 years time we will be #1 service provider, #1 this, #1 this, or whatever goal objective they have. So this is the vision they create, and to achieve the vision, the missions and goals, objectives, and then you align each of the project program so that each project you're running, a program you're running, is adding value to the strategy or strategic objective you have for the organization.
I agree, and not only that, one thing that I think is would be a great benefit with having a PMO is really kind of having those historical information. Of course, if with our company, we go through gate reviews to even qualify the opportunity to see if it's something that we want to go through or go pursue. And sometimes it's not necessarily a priority at that point, could be resource constraints or everything else. But there may be an issue at that time where maybe we don't have the technology in-house to be able to properly pursue that opportunity. And so having that PMO, strategic PMO, I should say, remembering those type of opportunities, and when they come back around, say there's a new technology that came out within the last 3 years that all of a sudden can make that opportunity that you turned down in the past a lot more lucrative. And so having those historicals, I think, is very important as well, and I think that can be very valuable within a PMO.
Yeah, and we need to differentiate between traditional PMO versus strategic PMO. Traditional PMO more aligned. Hey, you have, of course, experts sitting there, but they are helping multiple projects just run the projects. How to, in more tactical way, not the strategic way. They need some training for risk management or collection of data, reports, that kind of thing. But strategic program project management office is not only supporting the technical side, but also aligning the whole project program and the portfolio management with the organization strategy.
Absolutely.
So within strategic PMO, what are the various things we can expect to see? What are the how do you see setting up a strategic PMO? I know you're not a guy who set up an PMO, but what do you think?
Well, here's how I would probably say, I would expect out of a strategic PMO, specifically with that, solving the pain points that may hamstring a company to be able to make those changes that may be necessary, and where it's going to be able to boost performance, getting rid of those silos, so to speak. The biggest challenges I think a lot of companies face, you don't even realize what another part of the company even does, and you're outside, you're looking for another company that can provide a specific technical reference or technical expertise, and you may have it in-house. And so from a strategic PMO standpoint, I think those are the biggest rewards, so to speak, when you have folks there that really have a true understanding of the entire enterprise organization, and of course look internal first before going out to market and finding things. So That I think is a huge thing because the inefficiencies become very much prevalent. And in that world, you typically will disqualify some opportunities because we simply think that we don't have the technical expertise or whatever. So that's an issue. I know, again, from a strategic PMO standpoint, the greater the productivity and cost reductions, and generating that value, I think is very important, especially in our more agile world now post COVID. There's got to be some flexibility, and not only that, from a productivity standpoint, how can we continuously do this, bigger, faster, stronger, and deliver for the customer. And then finally, I would say, given that strategic PMO has that intimate data, the visibility to be able to monitor the trends and competitive analysis, I think that's where the real value of a strategic PMO can really, quite frankly, drive an organization. Or not only that, they're seeing a trend in the market. They can be able to, escalate that particular trend to the C-suite and be able to make adjustments and, quite frankly, make a business case as to, hey, we need to look at this because we may be losing our competitive edge. Or, I think that strategic PMO is kind of like the tip of the spear, so to speak, with driving the organization and making sure that you're always on the top of your game, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And things are changing very, very fast. So you need to have right people as your SPMO and right tools. You correctly mentioned, a lot of tools are coming up in the market, and they can help you streamline your work very efficiently. And one of the tools I mentioned to you, VX3CC, is what, that can be used for establishing the strategy, vision, mission, and you have balanced scorecard, and you manage your portfolio, program, project management. So that kind of tool can help you to get the work done, and only the work which is aligned with the strategy of the organization. So great, good stuff. So let's talk about how to align the projects to corporate strategy. What techniques we can use?
Well, first off, you got to does it fit with the, what is your priority? I think you have to prioritize what exactly of the opportunities that are out there. What do we think is going to give us the greatest priority? Another one would be, framework. Does it fit within your current framework? Do we need to change something? Is the market trend going towards this new framework? Of course, in a traditional sense, does this opportunity deliver the intended benefits? Does it help the company get a stronghold in the market or open a new one? And ultimately ends up, really going back to your roadmap. Does this particular opportunity advance our roadmap? And I think that's probably the most important. And of course, last but not least, as we all know, things change so quickly. Constantly being in touch with the C-suite and your corporate strategy, making sure that it's still valid. There are things that can happen one week, and that could be your priority, and then by the next week it could be something completely different because things change so quickly. And so constantly having that dialogue up and down the chain of command, I think is very important, because, and again, I not just up the chain, but down the chain as well, having your ear to the ground of what's happening at that project level is very important, because sometimes in the higher levels, you're just not getting those that key information. I think you and I have talked about it. What is it? The watermelon report, where it's nice and green on the outside, but very red on the inside. So making sure that you have the facts to be able to make the most informed decision before you start committing company resources, I think is very important to make sure that it's all aligned with the corporate strategy.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's where, first of all, what we set up the strategy, we agree on the strategy, goals and objective. And when a portfolio manager is selecting the work, they have to go through a number of different calculations. And one of the things they have to do, how closely this initiative aligned with the current strategy of the organization. If it is fully aligned, of course, that's where the good business case you have. If not partially aligned, but it's giving us different direction, maybe we may have to think, okay, out of these 5 components, we can add only 2. We need to pick the best out of them. And they should be strategically aligned. They should be giving us maximum ROI and whatever other calculation, internal rate of return or, NPV and other things. And based on that, you pick the right projects or programs or any other work.
Yeah, and I would also add too, especially in the international world, having if you have a geographic stronghold, looking at that, you're certainly going to find a lot of efficiencies within that. So understanding what does the company have in whatever X market or region in the world, I think certainly is helpful as well. Just being able to find those efficiencies within other projects or programs in specific regions.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. I'd like to ask a question. How can strategic PMO be an effective change enabler and play a key role in championing and driving business value for the organization?
I would actually probably go to some of the similar things that I've said already with championing that specific change with the solving the pain points. That is especially being a project or program or even a portfolio manager. There are sometimes roadblocks that certainly are outside of anyone's control within that part of the chain of command. And so having that strategic PMO, whether it's a new technology, getting it approved, or whatever X managers not wanting to support the objective, whatever it may be, I think that the strategic PMO can certainly help with that. Again, boosting performance, always efficiency, finding that productivity and ultimately reducing costs to make you more competitive. And not only that, again, having the historicals, and in our world, even having the templates, instead of reinventing the wheel every time, there's a lot of things, documentation, that instead of, a PM doesn't have to sit there and, reinvent an entire document, where you can take the framework of something that's already been done before, and be able to reuse it to a certain extent. That frees up the PMs to look at the bigger picture and see what type of opportunities may be arising at their level, or having a better stakeholder engagement with at their level. I think, certainly is some big, great things that a strategic PMO can have, or have the ability to drive change. And again, even with the data visibility, they've got that big picture of performance, to be able to monitor the current trends, but again, always watching to see what your competitor has going on as well, because it's very important.
Yeah, and that's where their knowledge, the people sitting in the PMO and strategic PMO, they have to have knowledge and expertise in those areas, who can assist the PMs or program managers to do the job better. They need to go through them. They're going to help them by training and hand-holding and monitoring. They sometimes do policing as well. Hey guys, we expect in this way, doing this way. So yeah, so that's where they play a very important role, and ensuring that continuous support to portfolio manager to keep an eye on whether the expected value generated or not, business value generated or not. If particular component is not doing as expected, they will work with the portfolio manager, or should work with the portfolio manager, guide them. Looks like this particular component or a project is not adding value, or is not good enough in this current situation, current strategic direction we have.
Absolutely.
So what is the greatest challenges of the PMO?
I would say the short and sweet of that one is justifying its costs. You know, especially in an agile type world that we really live in. That's probably the biggest thing. I would say probably most companies would consider it an overhead type expense,
Yeah.
and so that is probably one of the biggest challenges. And so justifying the cost, being able to find the value in what that particular entity does, I think is the biggest challenge. And under that, I would say, again, sometimes the PMO can get caught up in all the other things and not necessarily sharing that vital information. What are our, as looking at it from a project or a program manager level, what are my KPIs? How are we doing? Sometimes, or even not only that, is what direction are we going? What are the upcoming opportunities? What markets are we looking to get into? Again, being able to share that information, and I understand that some of it can't be divulged, but being able to share that information with your team, being as transparent as possible, I think is one of the bigger challenges from a day-to-day operation of a PMO, simply because we get caught up in all the other things, and not sharing that information could end up costing the company a great opportunity. I think I've even talked about it before, where again, if you're transparent and talk to your folks on the ground of different opportunities that we may be pursuing or looking to get into, some of your own staff probably has experience in that opportunity that the company may be pursuing. And so that particular someone that may be at the on the ground level, they could be the difference between winning and losing sometimes. And so making sure that you have an understanding of what your folks are capable of, I think is very important. That can help the overall company succeed. But cost is definitely a big one.
I mean, if we just talk about cost, they need to show the value they're going to add.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for anything we do in organization, there is a cost benefit analysis. If the cost, we just see the cost, we don't talk about the benefit, we'll not get any further. But if we talk about having this, team of 5 people, experts sitting here, what value they're going to generate with supporting the project managers, program managers by providing them guidance, training, and keeping everybody online and on track, and extracting or keeping the data and learning from those data, supporting the future projects and programs. That's where they are adding huge value. If you just look at the cost, that's where I get surprised when people get worried about investing in particular tool with a small amount, right? $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. They don't see the value this tool can add. That by spending $2,000, maybe the tool can save $200,000 within a few weeks or something.
Yeah, it's more sometimes sometimes the PMO efforts kind of show up more in the qualitative than in the quantitative, and that becomes the challenge to to continue to justify its existence. But yeah, I agree. There's as a PM in my days, that can be very beneficial to have a central PMO that for the biggest thing is those historicals, and again, not having to reinvent the wheel every time. That's the when you really dig into the hours that are spent redoing a document from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
That is a huge amount of money and manpower and labor just to do that. That of course is not necessarily going to show up in the bottom line, but again, that particular person could be focusing on something that can benefit the company in a lot greater way.
Exactly. I mean, instead of I remember my days as well. When I'm starting a project, I said I simply asked, do you not have a starting point schedule? What do you mean starting point? Like there are a lot of things which I'm going to repeat what my colleagues have done or I've done in past. Can I not use as a starting point and add my own bits and pieces on top of it? That will save huge amount of time. So
Absolutely. Not only that, just your own psyche to go, oh, I don't have to start from scratch again.
exactly, and that gives them, instead of worrying about all this paperwork and admin work, they can focus rather in better things to do, manage the things, establishing relationship with the stakeholders, managing the negative stakeholder, working with the negative stakeholders to convert them into something positive or something. Those kind of things are more value add rather than worrying about documenting. I totally agree. The documents are important, but can we minimize the time spent on the documentation, administrative work, and so and so? That's why the PMO can be useful. Hey guys,
Yeah.
you focus on this. We will look after your, bits and pieces of each, just reporting and everything. You just do the job.
Yeah, there's been several instances with some customers when you win a new project, it's like a tidal wave of deliverables that are due like
Yep.
within the first 2 weeks, and it's just all of a sudden as a PM, if you get assigned to it, you're just immediately pulling your hair out because you're like, okay, I'm not really sure when I'm going to be able to sleep to get all these done in time. So, yeah, so being able to, have those templates ready to go, I think is very important because, especially when you're starting off a new project, it is so critical to start off on the right foot and being bogged down in, all those administrative documents and tasks, which again, like you said, is very important. But again, keeping your eye on the ball, being able to focus on some of the big things that's going to really set your project on that right track right away. Having that support from a PMO is vital.
Yeah, and moreover, a PMO can be your center of excellence where you have experts sitting there. Project managers come and go. It happens many times. Somebody joins 6 months, 1 year, keep going. So you should not lose the knowledge. The knowledge stay within your PMO. Whether is today we have this person as a project manager or somebody else, the transition should be smooth and they should be performing from very early days instead of worrying about and the learning path and that many documentation. Hey, don't worry, we have a good PMO. They will spend some time with you, bring you up to the speed, and then you can do whatever you expert in.
Absolutely, I agree.
All right. How to leverage the future of PMO to drive new strategic opportunities?
Yeah, again, I would probably go back to some of the things we've probably discussed before. Monitoring trends and understanding what the market is doing. What are the new opportunities being availing themselves due to new technologies? Really taking on a really big business development type mindset, I think is very important from a strategic PMO. Of course, in our company, of course, they'll always say, everyone is business development, and
Yeah.
it's very important, not only your existing customers, but understanding what's upcoming and new markets. And so, those type of folks having that in the strategic PMO with the business development type mindset, I think is huge. And of course, as we've said before, they have the data, the historical data, so they can not only understand what the market is doing, and being mindful of new opportunities that may be coming, but they have the data to be able to make that business case to move up to the C-suite and let them know that, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is where we think we should be going with, and then have a discussion from there. I think that is probably the biggest thing, I think, to leverage from a PMO standpoint, from my side. Yeah, I think it's very important to arm the senior leadership with the specifics so that they can make the best decisions possible with the data there, and that strategic PMO is going to have those historicals, and they're going to have that true big picture look of what's really happening on the ground. So that's where I think that a lot of value can be realized at that particular level. Again, looking at that business development type of mindset.
Exactly. So good. We need to have right people in this the PMO to help in the strategic opportunity. All right. So how to develop stronger strategic oversight of all work streams to deliver value to strategic partners?
Yeah, this one is interesting. I oversight always makes me a little uneasy, so to speak. It starts to scream micromanaging in a lot of ways. But with that being said, of course, oversight is it has to be there. And so the my approach would be to this, developing the stronger strategic oversight of all the work streams. Number one, you have to have great communication with stakeholders. I think, that is a way to, again, when you're fully engaged, even though, you're having those discussions, the oversight is happening in a natural way to where folks, don't even realize that it is oversight, but they're having that true engagement, gives you a real good finger on the pulse, so to speak, in the way that a person does it. That way, folks don't feel like they're being micromanaged. And so I think having that type of approach, and again, having that really strong relationship, I think is very important. And again, with, I think, being very flexible and having the ability to, hey, let's try this, let's see if it works, almost like the choose your wow way of working. Being able to have that flexibility, try some things, see if it works. If it doesn't, be open to changing some other things. Maybe there's certain data points that the senior leadership wants. And so again, having that flexibility, and of course having a great relationship, customer relationship management, stakeholder engagement, being fully involved in what's going on, I think is really probably the best way to have that strategic oversight, more than anything. So.
Yeah. So look, they play a very important role, not only setting up the strategic direction, of course, working with the leaders, but also making sure whatever work is allocated to the project program managers, they are doing it. They are providing you the right information. I mean, you keeping in, because these guys are doing the work. Yeah. But the senior managers, they don't involve. They are relying on the data and information coming from the PM or the reports. And if this can be streamlined by having effective PMO, then a lot of work can be reduced or a lot of money can be stopped being wasted as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay. How can the portfolio manager serve as the bridge between the strategy and execution?
Funny enough, I would say that is like truly from an execution standpoint, that is the very definition of a portfolio manager, really. But they are the one that is prioritizing the work. But I think the real key for that portfolio manager is to, number one, they need an absolute crystal clear vision. And make sure that the expectations and the governance of the portfolio is very clear. Otherwise, I see a portfolio manager kind of really just getting caught up in the wash, so to speak, and they're not being strategic. I know organizations, I've seen it before, where all of a sudden, whether they're a portfolio or a program manager, all of a sudden they're getting thrown into being a project manager, and they can just get caught up in the wash and not being able to be really at that strategic level. And so I think more than anything, having that very crystal clear portfolio governance and clear objectives and vision, I think is really the key. Otherwise, like I said, you become a dime a dozen, and really you just get, hey, we're having issues over here. Go take care of this, and you're just the firefighter, so to speak. Which, of course, we all have to do anyway. But you're getting your hands so deep in the mud, so to speak, that you're not being able to really look at that vision and make sure that the prioritization is there, and that alignment, I think, is really the biggest challenge when it comes to that. Just as you get into those daily operations, and you're fighting fires on an hourly basis sometimes.
Yeah, so the portfolio manager is not just firefighter. May have to do sometime, but it's more strategy. It's actually very closely aligned with strategy, organizational strategy, strategic role. So they need to understand what strategy they have to fulfill. Every portfolio manager have their own strategy to achieve for the organization. And when they're selecting the work, the right work, based on the calculation they have to go through, analysis they have to go through, they pick the right work. So that's where they build the other bridge between, okay, this is organizational strategy, this is the delivery. And at any time, the delivery is not giving the expected value generation, then, hey, why are we running this particular project? Let's stop it. So that's a constant review they have to do between the organizational strategy versus what is happening, versus what is executed, and what results value they have generating.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a constant push and pull there.
Exactly. And yes, I do understand sometimes they can be pulled into doing the mega projects or something. Yes, there are project managers which handle better than a PM portfolio manager. Portfolio manager is more strategic role compared to doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So whether holding frequent strategic discussions with stakeholders and business leaders along with PMO help to achieve this project outcome efficiently.
Yeah, I think it's very much important. I think even what we would utilize as a gate review. I think that it's extremely important that everyone gets on whether it's on Teams or Skype or whatever. It's extremely important. Number one, before you're pursuing an opportunity, making sure everyone is on the same page. If you're not, then you're likely going to not win the opportunity, and number two, you're going to waste valuable resources that certainly are not infinite. And so I think constant stakeholder engagement is very important, and again, not just at a business level. I at least have found success with I'm not necessarily just calling someone because I need something or want to talk shop. Again, developing the relationships even on a personal level, understanding what someone's interests are outside of work, being able to develop that relationship to where you really have a friendship, so to speak, which then allows you to have those difficult discussions when the time arises. Again, I'm a competitor. In our football days, it was very common to, on the practice field, we could be literally wanting to knock each other's heads off and fight and everything else. And after practice, we go to dinner together, and it was nothing happened. So again, being able to have those relationships and understanding together, is very important. And my success that I've at least found is, again, getting to know the person as well, so that when those hard discussions do come around, they're much easier, I find, and they're usually much more successful. And it's certainly, you have the understanding between each other that, hey, it's just business. It's nothing personal. I think that avoids a lot of conflict as well, because you have that common understanding.
Yeah. And having your PMO with you can help you to have better discussion.
Absolutely. Very much. And again, you're all talking from a unified front, I think is very important.
And you're talking with correct information or the trend analysis, but why we need PMO. They are coming with a lot of data, information, reports, trend analysis. And when you're talking to the strategic, stakeholders or the senior leaders, they like to know the numbers. They like to see some graphs and pictures and right information so that they can make the right decision.
Yeah, they strictly the facts, as they say. They don't want to hear the "I think." Anytime someone says "I think," that means they're
Yeah,
not they have zero interest. Like they want just the facts. So it's very important to arm them with just the facts. Otherwise, yeah, you get yourself in trouble. And then not only that, if you don't give them the cold hard facts, then you risk company resources that are not infinite. So it's very important to give them the facts, and let the decision makers do what they need to do.
exactly. And that facts and numbers, the data is coming from right tools, right
Yeah.
system available to the PMO team. We're just relying on Excel spreadsheets or some PowerPoints. These are static information which sometimes may not give you the current status of the project. So having a system, the real-time system with the right information coming from various part of the organization about resource utilization, about the project successes and risk, issues, change requests, all kind of thing can help the PMO to come up with the right information which can be presented to their audience in the form of business leaders.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to have those tools in place, because if typically there's going to be, it's not like it's going to be some meeting that's planned well in advance. Of course, at times there are, but you have to have that information available relatively quickly, because all of a sudden, hey, we're seeing this trend analysis. It's not good. We need to look at changing our strategy. Well, you better have those facts pretty quickly. Otherwise, if you're sitting with 30 different Excel spreadsheets and someone's literally spending days, putting it all together into a summary, and that can be, number one, it's costly, but number two, you're going to have frustration from all parties involved, because they're going, all right, what are we really looking at? And if you don't have the ability to be able to answer that question relatively quickly, it's very frustrating. And of course, then it becomes, why do I have this PMO if I can't have the information, readily available? So, that's the true value in being able to have it.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. They start questioning the reason for existence of PMO, or they lose the trust. The guys coming with those in numbers. Hey, and because these numbers are not based on the fact and the right thing, right information. Maybe some made up numbers, or maybe some, anyway. So that. So if having a strategic PMO, right PMO, good PMO, with supported by good platform system, and supported by the on timely information into those systems, will enable the whole PMO to support the organized leaders to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
So one of the things I have been talking again, VXPCC is something which come out, which has all these features we're talking here, real-time information, all kind of graphs, picture, trend, and alignment with the business strategic direction. All things present in one platform is something I think people should look into, and highly recommend to get into that. And anything else, not only that, but if you feel some other platform is available, which can give you those, alignment and supervision, measurements and performance assessment, why not try them as well?
No question. Yeah, it's I've been back in the day with working with military folks, and first off, you never want to, it's okay to say I don't know, but I will get you the answer as soon as possible. But sometimes they can't wait and for you to go find that answer. And so again, making sure that you are fully prepared going into those meetings, because it could be a decision that has to be made today, and they don't have time to have folks literally sit there for hours on end, putting it all together for a presentation. And in the meantime, let's not forget, while the folks are having to put that presentation together, what's slipping through the cracks from from an operational standpoint on all the other programs and projects within. That is where you can have a domino effect to where you have a catastrophic failure, and you just can't have that.
And that may result into watermelon report as well.
Yep.
Because you don't have a real-time system, so whatever is presented may not be the real information, maybe some, the covered up information with beautiful green screen on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it can be a real challenge, and of course, anyone that's in that position it's a real stress box, so to speak.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Justin. It was a pleasure talking with you, and your wealth of experience in this area, and your expertise in running the large mega $1 billion project program, helping us to come up with this discussion. Hopefully people find it useful, and they can do the job better as a project manager, program manager, setting a PMO or running the effective PMO, decision maker. All kind of people can benefit out of this discussion. So thank you very much for your insight and your experience sharing. So lovely to have you here, and I'm sure we have more discussion in coming days.
Thank you very much, Dharam. Happy New Year, and really looking forward to a great year ahead of us.
Definitely. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and keep watching these sessions. I'm sure you're going to learn, and just be careful. You don't want to get addicted to our discussion, which I've seen people complaining. Dharam, we start watching a video and stop, very difficult to stop. So it's not our fault. The discussion we're having with the expert is the one which making you addicted to these discussions. So, but anyway, it's a good discussion, a good addiction to have, because you're learning and you apply the knowledge and become better project program portfolio managers. So thank you very much. So see you again very soon, or rather you will see me again with Justin or my other guest. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.